Hey, how's it going? Ow. I didn't finish moving stuff out of the way. So I need you to go there. Alright. So, I'm so sorry. I'm just like not talking. Okay, so I did not get interrupted before, but I did stop because it's good that I stopped when I did, because I would have been interrupted and had to stop anyway. So, please look at my signs. I was talking about atheism, or trying to, and also, like, let me get this note so I can tell you exactly what the heck I was trying to talk about. Oh yeah, so it was atheism, Stargate Atlantis, faith, revelations, and false prophets. And then I thought of two more things that I didn't end up writing down that goes along with all of that. But, so, okay, Stargate Atlantis. Well, that's like, I think the third version of the Stargate television universe. And it has the third one, or the one that I'm watching right now, sadly only 2 seasons, and I'm getting ready to be halfway through the second. I think I mentioned before, just in passing, that it has a different tone. It's Stargate Universe, as opposed to Stargate Atlantis or Stargate just plain old. Some of the like previous cast has made little appearances, but they're not like regular, you know, you don't see them every week. And like I said, the tone is darker, and it really is, and it's less about meeting races like aliens that are like ancients, or like super old. Like there's a race on, I haven't heard them talking about them in this universe, but in the other 2 shows I have. And it was a race they ran across called the Asgard. And they actually work with like the Stargate Earth people, and they have common goals, and they're very much advanced from Earth people. And keep in mind, the original show, which is where you first see this race called the Asgard, is from the 1990s. So, and you can the music and the clothes and everything, the pop culture, you can tell. But it's not that badly out of pace with like now even. So the Asgard, though, they look like Greys, right? Oh god, now everybody's doing that. I gotta stop right immediately in this moment here. So yes, the Asgard resemble what we know of as the Greys. Those of us who acknowledge these things, and they are technologically advanced. They do have the issue that the Greys on this side of the screen are known to have, which is why people get taken by them and have really generations of their families, in many or most cases, just sort of kept track of, and they like snatch you up and use you as a breeding module, and it's all very traumatic and strange and scary for the people it happens to, especially if they have no, I don't think there's many of them that have no concept of like life on other planets or life from other places than our planet. But they're not necessarily like totally sci-fi, or not even sci-fi, like for real about it, you know. Although I don't know, I wasn't like on the scene about that. I was on other scenes back then. I wasn't really like at all keeping track of like who got uh, abducted or whatever. Like it just, I might have been like remotely aware of MUFON, right? Oh, there, I just did it. Bite your tongue. So the they have the Asgard slash Greys have to like use various DNA components from humans, and I think the cows that get drained and levitated and other kind of sightings that people know of out there, for the reason of trying to still, for I guess a really long time, correct their genetic failure that, I don't know, like I guess they can't breed well or right, or I'm not a scientist. I'm certainly not a whatever the heck kind of scientist you have to be to know about like ET mating biology, and oh my goodness. Not my field of expertise. But and they're like helpful all the way up till this third series with the humans, and then they get really mercenary and cold, and they're like done trying to play nice with us because we can't be trusted in most cases. Although with them, I think the humans on the show had like a pretty good record. But so just to finish off like about the like this side of the screen kind of real ET stuff, I know I'm hesitating. I totally believe in it. I don't discount sightings of ocean ships that are obviously not any of ours. We can't, as far as I know, we haven't come up with anything that can go underwater at great rates of speed and fly too. We have we have any flying submarines. The obvious song is going through my head. So anyway, but evidently they like help us with various things and have an interest in us not having a nuclear catastrophe and just toasting this place and basically making a reset of everything. And to pick up that biblical thread, like I think, I don't know if I wrote that somewhere or actually said it somewhere, but there is a pattern, I think I've said it a couple of times now, of like humans like not doing right, like not behaving, not according to like a couple of things I've read recently, not living up to God's commandments. It's like a specific term, and I think we're all familiar at least with at least the existence of commandments, if not no more about the commandments. But you don't have to know specifically what they are. I don't think, like, it's serious enough sounding to me that you already know that you are like in his bad account, I guess you could say, God's, and he has given warnings. That's pretty well known, even over every, I mean, we just like are not like animals. We don't have that genetic knowledge to like, oh, okay, we did that a bunch of times and got either flooded out and drowned or burned up or starved to death or whatever kind of catastrophe you could be visited upon, whichever population is in question, because it sounds like it happened in different places throughout the world. And I always knew that there was some kind of thing that was wrong with that. Like, it couldn't, like, as far as it being more than one thing, more than one just complete engulfment of the earth underwater. I just knew that was wrong ever since I was a little kid. It's one of those things that makes sense, because if the world, everything's underwater, then where is a dove gonna live? Where's it gonna put its little dove feet and dove butt down? It needs a tree, and the tree needs to grow. And then when I got older, I was like, can trees live under? It said ocean. Would it be salt water? Does it matter if they can't, like, unsubmerge? No, it turns out they can't. And in the Bible story, the dove brings back an olive branch. So it has to come from an olive tree. Like the branch part kind of gives you that idea. So if the tree can't be submerged and still grow, then it's on the land. Like, it just is like, come on. And so, and it's like one of those things I talked about earlier. There's a previous video to this, where it was like the chicken and the egg question is like this clever little sort of mind puzzle with, like, it had meaning, has meaning. But, like, I chased around for many years of my life, like, which one did come first, the chicken or the egg? And now I have to wonder, were they really asking that seriously? Because, I mean, I was. Does that make me some kind of imbecile? But it just occurred to me recently, I had to get all old to figure it out. It's an egg. Something had to lay it. So chicken. That's what came first. The end of that question after all that time. Good job, dummy. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't talk that way about myself. Good job, Slowpoke. Anyway, so the other two versions of the show were more about meeting the, like, sort of magical ETs, and there are other races that they meet that are, like, really advanced. Like, one is, like, they live as a form of energy, and then they can incarnate if they feel like it, like they have the ability to vibrate all of those different things into being. So I feel like that's kind of an amalgamation of several species that someone that watches this channel probably knows about. So, like Pleiadians and Andromedans and, I don't know. There's I don't know of that many that are widely known. So you kind of would have to, like, see it yourself and go, oh, that makes me think of who I've heard this about. So, or like the inhabitants of other worlds, just like other humans, pretty much, with very little genetic variation. Like, they're pretty much just humans everywhere, humanoids, and just sort of your Star Trek sort of situations there, like, humans being humans, like making friends, and then, like, going behind friends' back and stealing and lying and, drama for the sake of drama. And that's fine. That's why I was watching it. It has a whole bunch of other elements. Like, look any of those up. My goodness, it's not hard. But they didn't really do, like, religion much. They did have a couple of, like, run-ins with races that they just came across more like cults, like big giant cults. Not like the Heaven's Gate type cult or the Manson so much, but more like a kind of all of those. And what is that one called? Oh, shoot. Nivum, Divum? I don't, the letters are, I can't. But now I can't think of another one. Oh my god, it's the one where the guy like had the people brand his name on them or tattoo it or something like that. Nexium. That's right, it's like sounds like a drug. And that was just a guy that I think he was supposed to be like this new age self-help or him help or yogi guru. I don't know what was going on there because I think it was like built up as sort of a entertainment based like community where everyone is helps uplift each other or something. Like I'm not really sure because like what it was about that attracted the people in completely loses focus when you find out what was really happening there. It's like, oh my god, like that's just fluff. But see, I don't want to get all totally sidetracked, but I think it was in the show the cults are more like that. But there's one that calls itself a religion and it's the Ori, but they have like some kind of artificial means of like producing their magical godlike abilities or whatever. Like it just wasn't like completely on the level, you know. And there it is again, like false prophets there. So that was in there, but it wasn't about. Well, let me just move on to this last one anyway, the Stargate universe, because there it's less about those things, like less about planet inhabitants or aliens and ships and, you know, fighting and all of that, or or not fighting and fixing it. And it's fun, like there's clever ways that they work through the problems that they run into, and they're not always like violent military solutions. Like it's not even always called for, and there's a lot of like medical stuff. And anyway, it's the third one, Stargate Universe, is more, I feel like, about the people and their personalities, and it's not so like positive and uplifting. There's a lot of people with issues on this ship, and it's like, wow, did they just stick all of the screw ups on this? Like, maybe we'll lose them forever. We don't know. I mean, you gotta think. I know this sounds totally callous, and this is not in the show. This is just like what I look at it and think, wow, they must not care about whatever ships and that they sent them out with. But they're on a like vital mission too, so maybe there is that red shirt element to their being there, because I guess all of them are some kind of problem back home, or many of them. And now I'm drooling. You would too if you had these big honkers in your mouth. I need a moment. So, would you please stand up? Come on, brain. What the heck was I just talking about? Well, the thoughts like really cleared out. Oh, right, the religion element. So on this last version, Stargate Universe, there's an episode where they're on the ship. It's not like the ship they came to space on or came through the ring on. Like, it's not an Earth ship. They're on this ship that they don't know how to understand anything that's written at first. They don't understand the controls, and it's on its own course on like autopilot, just doing its own thing. And it nominally takes care of like life support, but they're constantly like searching for food, and like they can't get their hydroponics to grow for a long time. And there's also a big mix of military with civilians. There's a civilian complement, and there's a lot of them. Like, wait, usually in the past there would be like one, maybe two members of this IOA, which I'm not sure what agency they're supposed to be equal to in real life. Some kind of civilian oversight thing, I guess. Do we even still have those now? Is that what they even were then? I don't know. We don't get told so much, even if they tell us a lot. It's like, well, how much of this is worth listening to? Sorry, personal feelings barging in. Opinion commentary. Did I point out my signs here? I have these signs. They say stuff like the fact that I often make these videos and write more about what I was saying, or leave links to videos in the information box. After the video's over, you might want to watch it, or you could watch it before, although it might be better because I wrote what I wrote after I made the recording. So if you wanted to make any kind of consecutive sense, and whatever else was the other thing that I forgot to keep, I kept forgetting to say over and over, so there. Also, that stuff. Although, yes, there will be spoilers. Always with the spoilers. So, they're out on the ship. One of the scientists just is a liar, and he just has... his motivations so far are just never clear. I'm not sure who he's out, like, mainly for himself, I guess. But you can't exist in that situation as an independent contractor. Like, you're on a mission that's a military mission, and you're a scientist, so you're not even really part of the civilian part. You're just kind of, this is just my read of the situation. I don't know, like a human gray area. Well, this guy especially fits that description, where like the previous geniuses and doctors were distinct. Like, one was really annoying because he was just annoying to everyone, and he had issues. Rodney. In the other show, the first one, like the guy that got picked on, he still shows up in the third version, and he was the scientist in the beginning that discovered the Egyptian alien connection, and I can't remember his name right now. Of course, why would I remember that, since I'm only talking about the show I watch all the frickin' time? Yeah, cool brain, go. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, it's just an odd blend of personnel on this particular mission, and the IOA people have tried to take over the ship more than once, and they're not violent really, and they're not smart tactically that way. They can talk circles around you, but they make all kinds of mistakes that trained, like, fighters know how to just step into, and there's so much more calculating. They're in their element, even though everybody's on an alien ship. They're getting it to work somewhat. And the stories are, I feel like, more about the people personally, because in the other ones, everyone was always like, oh, we can't, like, get too close because of, you know, we are in the military together and you're my boss and stuff like that. And here, people are just like, yeah, we're just doing it, you know, affairs, and oh my goodness, there's some messes with that kind of thing. And anyway, back to the religion part. So this odd mix of people, they're foraging. They need, because the ship, they can't produce enough food with the ship alone. Ship has all kinds of problems. Some of them, the, like, head professor, what the heck is this guy's name? I can't remember. Rush. Dr. Rush. He is just so dishonest and conniving. Like, I seriously still don't know. Are you on like some kind of spy mission, or is he just on his own and he's just so like vindictive, mean, thirst for knowledge, where he just like is ready to like let people get vented into space, like, oh well, you know, necessary casualties. Like, what? You're a scientist, or are you? I still don't know. But anyway. They have to go down to a planet, and they go through this area of space, and they're pretty desperate. They're looking, and they don't see any planets, and they're like looking hard. They got like several geniuses at work, and they have to come back that way, and voila, there's a planet. And they're like, where the heck did that come from? It just appeared there magically, and it has like everything we need. And I'm thinking Goldilocks, 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 but not that kind of like Goldilocks zone type thing. Because like they comment on the fact that they can measure its age, and there's like, if it were as old as like to have appeared and become a planet, it's only the age of still molten rock and like lava. Star nursery. There's no planet yet. You don't want to put your foot in there. You would get no foot back. So they're of course like, oh well, you know, that's like a miracle. Like, and everyone, well, not everyone, most of the people are like, ha ha, miracle. But they're like hungry, and they gotta go check it out. And I'm like, it's a trap. And then they go down there, and it has like food they can eat that doesn't make them sick. Things they need like magically appear, and you can't not notice that. Like, oh, we need it, and then suddenly there it is. And so what do you think? That's like, I personally have like Q damage from Next Generation, Star Trek Next Generation, not that other Q. But that dude used to just mess with people, and that's what this was like, this planet. And then you know, a bunch of people want to stay, and a bunch of them are like the vital scientists and like medic that they need, and it's a whole thing. But they don't end up staying. I think a couple of people insist on staying behind, and then finally something that was like invisible until it appeared and can like camouflage itself in the literal background becomes visible because it's going to eat somebody or something. And so they lost a couple of people, but then they, like, everybody didn't go back. But they, you know, like, they got like some food and crap, but some people stayed, and everyone, actually it wasn't just a couple of guys now that I think about it, kind of a lot of people, I think like 4 altogether got left behind, and also they couldn't like stay around and like help them or grab them because the ship that had its own agenda was getting ready to do a like faster than light leap, which is long way far, long way to go. Very far. That's wings. Much too small to fly me anywhere, though. Anyway, the people that decided to stay, though, were like, all of a sudden this one guy, one of the scientists, starts talking about how when his mother, or when he was little and his mother took him to church, or the priest, like, somebody told some story, and you kind of had, like, if you didn't see it coming, you just had no eyes at all. It was that, you know, don't trip over that giant metaphor. Can't miss it. Anyway, to be clear, there was a guy that had, like, a religious connection, like a Christian thing, and I thought, huh, isn't that interesting? Usually, you didn't see this, like, unless you were watching, like, that Stephen Collins show, which I didn't watch, but I think it had like a religious name even, which is fine, but just kind of out of character for the show. But there's even some discussion about it where the guy is like, yeah, well, like first I had religion and then I had science, and now I'm just kind of like, I've seen them both, It's like, I'm paraphrasing, that's not exactly what they said, but that's the general idea. And he was like, like, compared to being on the ship and starving with all the fighting and blah blah blah, he's like, I'm just gonna stay here, this is better, like, sorry, but here I'm gonna stay. So quickly, on the other two shows, there was this enemy, this adversary called the Replicators, and they were like nano consciousness evil enemy things. They were just like a cancer sort of a thing. Like, if a couple of them got together, more of them would immediately start to breed, and they were just bad news. They ate everything that biologicals needed and didn't care. And yeah, they're a good villain on the show, but why did I bring them up? Oh yeah, they had this thing that they would do with themselves to like store their consciousness until they could be oh well, that's different. There's a species that became human-like because they modeled themselves after another character on the Atlantis show that were ancients, and so these nanobots became sentient. And then, so their form of locomotion, and first it was admiration and tribute to their, like, father, their inventor. And then they got corrupted and became evil. Actually, they became human-like, so there goes the neighborhood there. But then they became, like, the villain, but eventually they were overtaken, and they developed a way to like store their consciousness digitally, and a couple of times the biologicals were able to somehow use that and transfer their own consciousness if their bodies were too messed up, which happened to like the doctor from the Atlanta show, Carson Beckett. And so I thought, well, I'll get there. So the people that stayed behind, finally the threat that you just knew had to be there because it was too good to be true, did arrive. But what it did was, it was like a being that like just pretty much plucked out of your mind whatever it took to see how you ticked, like, what do you want, what do you need, how can you be manipulated, can I eat you? Basically, it was the end goal, I think. And when there was just like a few of them left, and I guess they were kind of desperate, they may have gotten to a point where they were starving. I'm not real sure how quick the timeline was moving. I wasn't paying that close of attention, unfortunately. But monster appears, and apparently that's it. But later, one of the people that wanted to stay, who was pregnant, and that's why she wanted to stay, because she had everything she needed, she felt comfortable, she knew that if she needed something, and she didn't say this, but it was kind of implied that whatever she needed would appear. So she got hurt, and her mind took her back. She got hurt there when the monster, well, no, she got her, she got hurt a couple of times, actually. But anyway, the people that stayed behind, she wasn't one of them, the one that wanted to stay but had to leave, ended up leaving and going back to the ship. She was pregnant, and so the people that stayed behind on the planet, like, as far as they knew, when the ship left, people were alive, but they didn't know that the monster came and I believe pretty much wiped everybody out. But when later, on the ship, the woman, this character TJ, the pregnant one, got hurt again, and she like went into like some kind of altered state or astral plane or something, and was back on that Eden-like planet. And you know, she met up with first like the doctor guy who had been like the medical doctor, and he like decided to stay on this planet and abandon his mission. But I think he was a civilian, so he could do that. A reptilian civilian. What was that? These damn teeth. Anyway, reptilian civilian. Oh, the doctor, right? So she gets hurt, but she's not even on that planet. But somehow her consciousness goes back to that planet, or they took her there. I'm sorry, unfortunately, I wasn't like totally paying close attention. But either they took her back to that planet to get some kind of medicinal thing, or to see if the people were still there, or something. Or, I should probably go look at those last few episodes again. When she got hurt, her mind just went there. And it reminded me of the uploading of the consciousnesses, because she wakes up and it's all like movie golden sunlight, like extra golden, like super duper morning and magical light. I don't know how else to describe it. But that's what's happening in the room, or like in the world, actually. Wherever they go, it's like that. So you know it's kind of dreamy as you're watching it. And at first she's just kind of like, oh, well, you know, like realizing stuff's all different. Like, where am I? And then the doctor comes in. She's like, oh, hey, you're here. Where am I? And she looks down and she's got like no pregnant belly, because she was, I guess, pretty close to due to give birth. And so in this state that she's in, the baby's gone, but then he says, oh, here's your baby. And then she gets to hold her baby, and then like the other people show up that got left behind, and he told her, yeah, they're on their way, they'll be here in a minute. And then they show up and they're like, oh, your baby got born, and but let us see the baby, let us hold the baby. And she hadn't even really got to hold her own baby yet, and they're all like, let us take her in the other room away from you. And she's just all, okay. That also how I knew it was dreamy. Like, anyone else would be like, are you fucking nuts? Give me back my kid. So, oh, sorry about that little language burst there. But I guess I was feeling that. So, but the doctor was the one that was like having this religious experience about it. He's like, you know, like, you're only going to come across something like this once in a lifetime, kind of a thing. You're not, you know, like, he didn't want to pass it up. He's like, this feels too right. This feels too good. And I guess he was like having some doubts and confusion or something, that he hadn't really said anything to anybody else. Although, you know, you only met him like 3 episodes ago, so how deep could it be with the guy? Turns out, spoiler alert, everyone's dead. And it's like the monster trying to lure her and grab her consciousness, like in the context of the dream. That's what she finally gets the idea, like what's wrong, that something happened. And then she wakes up and she's, you know, on a ship. So yeah, the whole dream sequence thing confusing, and then I made it more confusing. It's a mystery. You should go check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. But he got really like Christian-y, like before he got left on the planet, before he was abandoned there with other people. Well, they weren't abandoned. It just was, the circumstances just worked out that they wanted to stay, and it was like the people on the ship were like, we gotta go. So, a few times things come up though in this show since I've been watching it that are like literal Bible quotations or references to something, like, as an example, like the mark of Cain. They haven't said that one, but it would be some type of just offhand remark that, sure, you would maybe hear that if you grew up a Christian child or even just in America, but the number, like just the sheer volume of them in this particular series is more than the previous ones and more than most shows. So, I mean, I can't help notice that even though I'm having a thing myself right now where that kind of thing is of interest to me, where it really wasn't in the past. But that's not the point. So it just, and then the people, like, there's adulterers. The one guy is just uncontrollably violent, and he knows it. He's barely contained. He can't. He's like, he's the idiot that shoots his rifle when you're trapped after a rock fall inside a cave, a mine tunnel. Like, that literally happened. He's that guy. So he, you know, when you first get to know him, he's like in the brig, but they let him out because they just need more bodies, and they know that he's a fighter, so that's like useful in the moment. And they eventually like smooth him out, but he stays pretty, like, I don't even know what to call someone like that. Just, I mean, it makes me think of someone who, like, a violent person who ends up in prison and is still violent. That's what he seems like he would be, except for, you know, he's not doing all the ending of lives on this particular show, but he is, like, fighting and whipping out his weapon and snarling and aggressive physically. So, and there's, you know, like, sort of archetypal. There's a young guy that's like today he would be like the kid, the gamer in his mom's basement. And he did live with his mom, but it's not because he was a gamer. He was like he definitely the computer nerd character, younger guy. And, I don't know, there's like soldiers, and it's got all the stuff. It'll hold your interest if you're into that kind of thing. But usually it didn't get into religion in that way, where like the cast was like feeling it enough to like stay on the planet that seemed to be granting them miracles. It's like, that's the thing you're supposed to be looking out for, especially if you're gonna all of a sudden get religion. Like, you don't want to just believe the thing that seems too good to be true without shining some direct sunlight on it, and that guy didn't give it time. And as soon as more people that could defend him and the other ones that stayed behind left, then that was it. The monster came out. So, yeah. Don't be so quick to just jump on bandwagons is the lesson there. Like, I can't miss that because it's so happening. Like, I don't know. Oh, so okay. I wanted to talk about something else that happened. Like, there has been it's like we had a lunar eclipse like last night, and did the eclipse happen already this morning or in this evening? I didn't even, I didn't even check. I could feel it coming anyway. I've just been loopy, but it was like the double whammy today. But when I woke up this morning, I just did like my usual thing and taking my time because I wanted to go out, but it didn't look like I was going to be able to do that. And I just, turned on my phone and was looking at some stuff, and a video came up. First thing, like, after I got my certain things that I always do out of the way, I was just scrolling, and it was this lady, and it was all, I don't even remember what the title was. I think I just saw it, but it was something about, like, sugarless candy bar thing, and I'm like, that, I gotta look at that. How do you do it? Because I have been thinking about it. Oh, that came second. Right before that came another food video, because I looked at a couple, and something I'd been thinking about, and I know I had not talked about this particular thing out loud, and it was about morning energy balls, like breakfast balls, and they're made with like dates and cocoa and like honey and maple syrup instead of sugar, and they're not super sweet. I mean, they're sweet. They also use dates, which are very sweet, but the way it's all distributed, it's not as sweet as you would think. It's not processed sugar sweet, for one thing. And it has a lot of, like, almond flour in it, and you could add cocoa and other fruit, like dried fruit. It's really like a choice of whatever, like oatmeal. But the first one was really simple. I think it was just dates and like almond flour and coconut oil and maybe like cinnamon or cocoa, and I don't know. It was very simple. And you pretty much just throw those ingredients in a bowl and mix them around until they get, blended well enough till you got like something you can make a ball out of, like a pasty, doughy type situation. And they described every one of the ones that they made as raw cookie dough, which actually I think is gross, but I understand where they're coming from. And they used like pecans and almonds a lot, and the guy was like grinding them up in this processor. Luckily I have like almond flour, so that would do away with a lot of that. But what I had been thinking of and I didn't do was I have been snacking on walnuts and raisins lately because I'm trying to I also have no money, but I am trying to stay away from as much processed sugar as I can. So walnuts and raisins has just been hitting the spot. And then like walnuts are like really filling, well, and raisins are a lot of fiber too, so I can eat like more of that than I could of chocolate and not have to worry about chocolate and sugar weight gain. So I was just like, well, that's so weird that should come up. I wasn't going to do food processor. I have a mortar and pestle, but I haven't used it because it's so dang heavy I can't pick it up and bring it over. But I had been thinking, what would I, like, stick them together with? Like, I have coconut oil, which, as the woman said in the next video about the candy bar replacement, it's not a liquid oil, so you can melt it, but when it hardens, oh, Kitty, oh my goodness, you're soaking wet. Hi. And so if it gets warm, you can put it in the refrigerator, or it'll set up, once it cools, and that helps give it helps it keep its shape. And I was like, okay, so yeah, what I wanted to do was like lemon juice, a little bit of coconut oil, raisins and walnuts, and then I also have cocoa, and I could like roll it in cocoa to like make it so you could pick it up without becoming just completely sticky or greasy. Hi. Oh. Hello. Hi, this is my kitty, Puffer. Hi, kitty. So anyway, I was just like, wow, how cool. And then right after that, there came the lady with the candy bar thing, and she made a shortbread of like almond flour, coconut oil, maple syrup, vanilla extract, and then stuck that puppy in the oven. And then she made like a peanut butter layer that she used like unsweetened Adams, which is what I always use, and added like a little bit of sweetener to that and some dates and whatever, cinnamon, and then she just like melted some dark chocolate and pretty much same ingredients, coconut oil and the chocolate, something else I can't remember offhand, but she made like a hard, like what's it called, a glacé, I don't know, but she made like a chocolate sort of syrup thing, and then let that set up in the oven, and not in the oven, in the in the refrigerator, and it sounded so good. And she was like, and like, it's not as sweet as a candy bar, but it has the flavor and it hits the spot and it's dense because the nuts and the dates, like all of that. Woo, kitty, where are you going? Okay, see ya. He's not interested. He wants me to feed him. It's so not time to feed you again. Oh my god. Sorry. And I was just like, wow, how I love how that came to me, because I totally am always thinking about that. Like, I still want to be able to eat all the bad stuff. And I just am kind of figuring it out, and it's like, here, let me help you find too. Like, the algorithm just helping me out all day. And it really has been, like, just handing me up, like, everything that I didn't ask for a lot of it, but it just was just coming up anyway, and it's fine. I like it. The reason why I am so interested in the Stargate is because of, like, the way it incorporates, like, the future technology all sneakily, or not really that sneakily. They just put it there, and they don't differentiate from the fact that, like, because it is kind of reality-ish based, and so when you're looking at it, you're kind of just like, sure, that's a future thing, because this is a future show. Like, you're not thinking, like, no, that's a future thing. Well, it's a now thing. It just it's just a futuristic, or like some of the stuff they show in there is like what they now refer to as exotic aircraft, I guess, or there's definitely exotic weapons technology. They talk about that probably more, but exotic, like anti-gravity. It's exotic because it requires some sort of element that does not naturally occur here, and that's why we have limited ability to make those things happen. But I hear we get a little help from our friends. Okay, so I just have been having all of those kinds of things on my mind, and I feel like that show is, I don't know exactly when the universe one came out, but the other ones started in the mid-90s. This might have made it into it might have cracked the 2000s. But I just think that, it's such a cool way to see, like a better than we realize look at the reality of these unreal kind of situations and beings and things and locations. I thought he might be fighting with somebody. The cat. Anyway, those are of interest to me, and also like the part of like the unfolding or the disclosure of certain things that I feel like is just happening right now. Like, I also kind of feel like there's a clamoring for it, and it's like you're not seeing it because you want it to appear in a certain way, and I'm always trying to like sort of impress upon people, it's been disclosed to you, it's being disclosed to you, you have been exposed to it for years. And it's not like I don't know why I have to always say it, but I just feel like it just needs to be pointed out. But you know, hey, everyone does not travel to the same destination the same way, I guess. So I did actually, what am I doing on time here? Oh my goodness, I have to stop. That is enough. Maybe I'll read cards later or tomorrow. Thank you and good night. Did I make my point? I don't know. I guess my overall point in there, it probably got lost with everything else, was that, like, atheism mainly, like, right now, because so many things are unfolding and coming true and bearing out and being true, prophecy realized, I can't, like, go with the atheism. And I kind of came to that decision before all of this was this, like, apparent. It's an exciting time. Okay, now I'm done. Thank you and good night. Cards later or something. Bye.